Really big announcement from Georgia this morning. Breaking news, and that's that Georgia will have a new mascot, and it will be introduced um, on Saturday at G Day. So it's an exciting time. Obviously, I've been talking about um, how much fun this G Day should be, and now you got to look at Boom, who is Georgia's mascot du jour. So it's a 10-month-old dog. As you can see here, it says Georgia will introduce Boom, 10-month-old English Bulldog, as UGA 11 during pregame ceremonies for the upcoming G Day game uh, in Athens Saturday. And that's going to start early, y'all. So if you are planning on being at G Day, here's another good reason to go. You need to be, I would say you want to be in your seats certainly by 3:30, 3:40, because this is going to start at 3:50. And these we've seen these every now and then. I'm going to go through a couple of the dogs real quick as we kind of talk about um, what it's been like through the years for the mascots. I started covering Georgia in 2001, and in that time I've seen quite a few. But I'm going to start actually with Uga the third, and he was the one that won the national championship in 1980. I believe he went on to go to the Heisman ceremony. I could be getting some of the dates slightly wrong. But the most famous Uga was Uga 5, who was not only in the Good Night, the movie Good Night, or Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil, which was an interesting film for sure. But he was also on the cover of Sports Illustrated. And for those of you who are a little bit younger, which this crowd who's watching this typically is, being Sports Illustrated now is not what it was then. Sports Illustrated was the Bible of sports. I mean, not just sports journalism. If you were on Sports Illustrated's cover, you were a huge deal. There were only really 50 of them a year because you had the swimsuit issue and the Person of the Year. So you had about 50 chances to be on there, and collegiate athletics was not really something that was as big as it is now. I mean, there was a lot of baseball that still mattered, but this was 1996, just after the Braves won the World Series in '95. Georgia was really, I don't know if this was the bottom of the last of sort of modern Georgia history, but it wasn't far off from it. I mean, 1996 was a tough time. And for Uga the Fifth to be on there, proclaimed by what at the time was certainly the authority in sports, Sports Illustrated, which was, listen, by the way, let's just say this. If you were a writer, you wanted to be in Sports Illustrated. If you were a photographer, which was even more exclusive, you wanted to be in Sports Illustrated. It was the elite publication of sports, and for Georgia to be put on the cover like that, that was really the one. I would say that was the biggest moment of all of the UGAs, was being put on that cover. Okay, and then in my time, just real quick, by the way, if you are not taking a look at Double Dogs, you should do that today. Uh, we don't, some of these copies are signed by Stetson Bennett. We've got those available, as well as some dog instructions from Keeley. We don't have a lot of those. If you want Double Dogs, check that out today. The link is down below. And when I started covering Georgia in '01, first of all, the dogs have always been the star of the show. I mean, as much pomp and circumstance as there is around Georgia, and there's a lot. I mean, Georgia's not like a lot of other schools. What's Michigan's mascot? They don't have it on the sideline. I don't know what a Buckeye is. That's a long explanation. But as much as you've got tradition from the Redcoats, the Silver Britches, um, between the hedges, the dog is a living, breathing mascot, the likes of which most schools don't have, or they're pitiful, like South Carolina's. But with the dogs and seeing behind the scenes a lot, and the dedication the Silers have had, Charles now particular in my time, it is impressive. Now he was not, the most recent UGA 10, I believe, was not at the national championship game at SoFi, if I'm not mistaken. But the dog is there all the time. all the time, y'all. And uh, it is the embodiment of the fan base. It is something that it really captures what Georgia is that a lot of other places are not. I mean, you can't have a tiger on the sideline or an elephant, and so or an alligator, but you can have a bulldog, and they do. And I'm telling you, again, back to the behind the scenes stuff. When there are autographs for fan when fans have the ability to get autographs, I've seen autographs for Eric Zier, Aaron Murray, Stetson Bennett, Shock, um, all these extremely popular people, and Mark Richt, Kirby. I don't know if Kirby's done an interview. I mean, a autograph thing for the public. I think he has. The line for the head coach is usually the longest. The line for the star quarterback can be longer than that, but nobody has a bigger line than the dog. They issue tickets to take pictures with the dog. It is an amazing cultural snapshot to watch people's reaction to the thing they love because the dog can't really do anything wrong. And I hang out over by the dog some during games, but for the most part, I see all of the UGAs underneath the stadium or on the sideline at in Jacksonville or in Nashville or Columbia. You see them on the sideline. You talk to Charles a little bit on the sideline, but it's underneath the stadium where the dog really gets a chance to just relax. And there's no sun, there's no heat, there's no fans. There's just him in his truck, um, him being able to go use the bathroom when he wants to. The dog is a fascinating thing. The strange part is, it's just a dog, but it's really not just a dog. That's the thing that's so nuts. Is the the one thing, and I thought this was horrible that the students at Georgia Tech did this. I'll never forget this. I was at the '99 Tech Georgia game, and that was the game that was wrongfully awarded to Georgia Tech. It was a terrible day, and UGA 5 had just died, and there was this big banner at one of the fraternity houses at Georgia Tech that said "Burn in Hell, UGA," and I thought that was just a little too far. But a lot of the Tech folks, as high and proud and nose in the air as they are, they can really be shitheads about things sometimes. And uh, that was an unnecessary thing because there's nothing proud about a yellow jacket. They're just an annoying thing. Nobody wants them. Nobody wants to be around them. I know I don't. Um, but a dog is man's best friend. I don't own dogs. I own cats. Why? Because cats don't use the bathroom on the floor, and you can just let them out. You can leave them for 4 days. A dog is like a child. You got to be committed to have a dog, right? I can't wait for the reaction to people. Dog people are real psychos sometimes, but Georgia fans at the end of the day are dog people. They literally are dogs. They bark and they do all these things, and I just I remember taking a picture of Q. It was the Vanderbilt game in 15 or 16. I remember how excited Matthew Stafford was that the UGA that he was playing his final games at Georgia would be UGA 7. Like he thought that was awesome. And someone can ask Matthew to recall that story. He might not remember it, but I remember his reaction to it. And it's like sometimes Matthew's eyes just light up. And that was one of those moments. But uh, the dogs are, if you've never been able to see the dog, pet the dog, be around the dog, it is worth your time to stand in line to take a picture with the dog whenever that's available. And again, listen, uh, the dog is one thing, but the Silers have kept this going for decades. And as a person who goes to all of Georgia's games, it is a lot. it is a lot to go to all these games, and I'm not taking a dog with me. I'm taking, Matt, which is like a dog, and certainly Ryan and Dylan, but um, it's hard to capture the royalty that is UGA. It's not UGA. It's not UGA. All these idiots that don't seem to understand how to pronounce anything. Also, by the way, when you're referring to the University of Georgia, it's not a lowercase a. This isn't Virginia. It's UGA, all capitalized. And it's not Georgia Tech University, although I thought that was pretty hilarious back in the day. But the dog, Uga, is as consequential a mascot as there's ever been in the history of mascots. He is royalty. He is the number one mascot clearly in college athletics. I don't know who has a better mascot, period. It's a lovable creature. And the newest one, Uga 11, will be there Saturday. We'll have some footage for you. Thanks for watching.